Do you perceive direct communication as an excuse to be blunt? I would like you to reconsider. Direct communication is about being clear, concise, and respectful. Today I will cover off the top tips for implementing direct communication in your leadership and how it can really enhance your leadership communication. First off, direct communication is about saying what you mean, meaning what you say, and owning your words. I have been in leadership for over 17 years, and it took me a long time to adapt my leadership style from impatient to impact. Being the youngest child in my family, I suspect fueled my desire to be the first and most competitive, as I was always struggling to keep up with my older sisters. I had the smallest bike, so I had to pedal twice as hard just to keep on track with where they were. I was the shortest, so I had to yell the loudest to get heard. A lot of my childhood was about keeping up. I believe this has shaped my leadership style and my communication. I went for years early in my leadership career thinking that my impatience to get to the point, the ask, the action, was actually a negative aspect of my personality. And I thought that I needed to work on myself to be more patient. Over time, and no doubt age, I have discovered that actually continually trying to dampen down my inner self, and yes, my impatience, was actually creating a somewhat inauthentic leadership style. I realized that to really connect with people, I needed to just be who I was and use some of my what was perceived as weaknesses as actually strengths, and how I could harness them to enhance my leadership rather than trying to always dull them down and hold myself back. This fundamentally changed my approach to my leadership. I started embracing my ability to quickly get to the what and how of a situation as an asset rather than always seeing it as impatience and a bit of a negative. It also really helped build my communication into more of a direct communication style. Some of the benefits that I discovered from this were that it really quickly built trust. When I'm direct, I find that people tend to trust me more and open up to me more quickly, as I think people appreciate honesty and transparency. It also definitely increases efficiency. It saves a lot of time and avoids misunderstandings. It also improved my relationships. The open and transparent communication style of being more direct seemed to land with people better and strengthen those relationships. It also really enhanced problem solving, as I found that when I really wanted to get to the point and get action, people were also more willing to respond in the same way and also come up with ideas faster and get to the point in the action as well, which created a more collaborative communication style with my team. So some tips for practicing direct communication. First up is to be clear and concise. Consider what you really want to say and how you can get to the point really quickly and clearly. I tend to find myself getting pretty irritated if I go into meetings and someone is rambling on about something that is completely unrelated to what we're talking about. I know for me, this is my need to get clarity about what I need to know and not wasting time. Consider how you can adapt how you're communicating in a way that helps you get to the point more quickly without being really blunt. Some niceties can be required. Secondly, use I statements. Focus on your own perspective. If you're talking to your team and there are some members of the team that are frequently late to attend meetings, which is actually something I find really disrespectful and annoying enough to have created another video on how not to run boring, time-wasting meetings, which is linked on your screen if you want to go down that rabbit hole. But my point is, instead of saying to those individuals, "You are always late," try thinking about how you can rephrase it into something like, "I find it really frustrating when meetings start late because often we run out of time." Using I statements enables you to articulate your feelings and perspective of a situation without placing blame and making generalized statements that can put people really on edge. Tip 3 is active listening. It's pretty hard to be an effective direct communicator if you aren't listening to those around you. This is about paying full attention to the person who's speaking and asking clarifying questions to ensure that you really understand what they're trying to say. There is no point being so impatient that I'm going straight for the resolution before I've heard the full explanation or the problem, and that is in front of me. It leaves me wide open to completely misunderstanding a situation. For example, I went to a meeting where one of my leaders was running it. It was a virtual meeting, and there was a team member there who'd been away for a long time and was obviously just coming back to work. And you could see from the screen that their child was obviously with them, and they were communicating with their child and going on and off the screen as they were dealing with them. This individual had previously been told a long time prior that they needed to take appropriate domestic leave if they had to look after a child at home, as they couldn't really effectively do the particular job they had while they were doing childcare. And I couldn't believe that I was still seeing this occurring on the screen in front of me. So I contacted that leader after the meeting to follow up on that situation. And then I discovered that that individual was actually doing return to work, keeping in touch hours in their own time of their asking, because they wanted to communicate with the team and feel connected again before they officially started work. So amazing, great thing to be doing. If I had ploughed straight in there and pulled them up on that without listening to what potentially was another explanation, I would have got myself in a bit of hot water. So active listening is pretty important and can be a little bit of a challenge for those of us who do kind of want to just charge in and get on with it. But if you want support on how to be an effective active listener in your leadership role, check out the video linked on your screen for more tips. And if you are gaining any tips from this particular video, I would love it if you would subscribe. It helps me know that this video is giving some impact to somebody and someone else is listening to it too. Thank you. Tip number 4 is to practice assertiveness. This is about expressing yourself confidently. Don't mistake assertiveness for aggression. You don't need to be rude or blunt to be assertive. Being assertive is about clearly articulating what your opinion is or what your needs or wants are in a particular situation. Tip number 5 is to get feedback on your communication style. Getting feedback can be really challenging, but it is really important to be able to identify where it is that you're doing well and where you might have opportunities in the way that you're coming across to others that you could then work on. For getting feedback on your new direct communication style, it could be quite handy to ask another colleague to do this for you. So you could start adopting this direct communication style, and then after a few weeks, ask one of your trusted peers, "Hey, I've been trying this new approach. Can you tell me if you've noticed anything about how I've been interacting and communicating lately that would highlight some change for you?" You could also do this with your direct reports, but it can be a little bit challenging and tricky to do this kind of thing with those that report to you. So it will depend on the relationships that you've built with your team. Finally, be honest. The underlying factor in direct communication is honesty. If you are being clear and concise in your communication style, but you are also being dishonest, this is just being blunt and manipulative. It won't build trust, relationships, or your leadership reputation. While my childhood competitiveness might have created my drive to get to the point or win the race, it was always the hard-fought victory that really got me going. Winning against my older sisters was the ultimate, and I would not have had that if I had lied and cheated my way into beating them. And this is the same in my leadership. I believe that I have got to my leadership career and where I am in my leadership career through honesty and direct communication. And if you want support to advance your leadership career into your ideal leadership role, make sure you check out my leadership career blueprint, which is linked in the description. And thanks very much for watching.